Today is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor 48 finale.
This episode's titled, Only One of Yous Can Win. That was spoken by Chrissy. We were scratching our heads before the finale came on, trying to guess who said that. It never dawned on me it would be someone in the jury. Okay, we kick it off with the classic Probst welcome to the finale. He declares, this has been a fun season. It has been a competitive season, an emotional season, and not having an alliance certainly got you voted out. That's generally how it works. He promises a reckoning and that it will be personal. Joe declares this is going to be electric. Previously on Survivor, Kyle and Camilla framed Shaheen. Joe and Eva will be indebted to them for saving them from evil Shaheen. And Shaheen is suspicious, and Shaheen is voted out. Back at camp after the tribal council, Nui Nai. Is that going to be the last time we say that? Night 23, time for some final five hugs.
Eva to Kyle, thanks for having our backs.
Grateful, indebted sounded, yeah.
Well, I don't know if she thought about it much after that, but just thanks.
Yeah, Kyle tells us it was a tough move, but they got away with it. He alley-ooped, and Camilla gave it the old slam dunk. Kyle tells us he is thrilled because he's got options to get to 4.
All right, then we see Eva and Joe go off to have a chat. And Eva told Joe, yeah, I think we made the right call.
Well, I like that Joe was still questioning and he was suspicious.
Yeah.
I thought they might work it out. I was kind of hoping that's what that sequence was going to be.
He started out by saying, I trust Kyle.
Were we duped? Were we duped? It's a good question to ask. And Eva says absolutely not. No.
It's kind of in the back of my mind that we might have got duped.
Joe had a spidey sense. He just wasn't able to suss it all out. He wasn't able to completely apply it. And Eva tells us they will vote out Camilla next. And that she feels like she needs to look out for Joe and Kyle.
Well, so maybe she does feel a little indebted to Kyle.
Yeah.
All right, and Camilla tells us, I can't believe how good at lying I am.
And I can't believe that he didn't fact check with Shaheen. How did Joe not do that? It was so simple to blow their plan completely out of the water.
Yep.
And she also declares that she deserves an Emmy. I think they had a for Emmy consideration commercial in the finale. So, yes, give Camilla an Emmy.
All right, day 24.
Well, we had that Kyle and Camilla just before we go to that. So Kyle declared, yes, we have a chance now that we pulled this off. And Camilla says, I will own every single lie at Tribal Council. And I was thinking, well, I didn't have you making it to Tribal Council in the picks, but I would really like to see that. I think you could represent quite well. Another one of those beautiful sunrises on day 24. They're all together out there on the beach.
And then they find out there's an advantage up for grabs.
Yeah, no tree mail, just another cryptex to solve. The signs are back, but there's an extra twist now. There's a number of dots that have been added.
Put on those plaques.
Yeah, to the plaques. And Camilla they used her to explain it. Oh, that's which letter in the alphabet.
So Mitch tells us he really needs this. There's going to be some hearts broken. Didn't know it was going to be his, but...
And he's proud of how resilient he's become and how different day 1 Mitch looks from day 24 Mitch.
Yep, he's had to dig deep.
Kyle says, I might as well ask for help while we're trying to solve this, because closed mouths don't get fed. We hear that on Survivor once in a while. So Mitch gives him a clue, and then Eva gives him a clue at another letter.
And he's like, cool.
Yeah.
He still didn't get it.
No. Because spelling and
didn't solve it.
Kyle, They don't necessarily go together, do
I
they?
thought when he had, I've got this. I thought, he's got it.
Yeah.
And it was
Unforgettable. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, you said that at the time.
Eva's Scrabble skills evidently pay off again, and she gets it secure.
Yep.
Was the 5-letter word.
She solves it, and she wins the advantage in the challenge.
Which is a curse. No one that gets the advantage wins that final 5. It hasn't happened. That is officially a curse.
If you're ever on Survivor, you should try to lose that
Skip
challenge. Forget about it. Okay, then we go next to the immunity/reward challenge.
Final 5, yes.
And they're going to get muddy again.
Ooh, this is the extra mud, though. So they got to go up and over the cargo nets, and then it's the mud crawl, but it's the twisted net mud crawl. So you have to crawl into the twisted tube.
And go, what, counterclockwise?
Clockwise, I think he said. Yeah. So you have to spin it as you're moving through it. And women or anyone with long hair, if they've got it up in a ponytail or a bun, are at risk of getting caught.
With their hair, period.
Yes.
If it gets caught in that
the longer hair.
Trying to spin.
Yep. Okay, so you got to do the mud crawl, and then there's
they got to get
kind of a sideways basketball hoop they got to throw a ball into, and then it comes down.
High.
Yep.
And
it's just the hoop is rotated 90 degrees.
And it goes into the area, the ball and the bags. And
45. Yeah.
Then they got to get it out of there.
Yeah. So there's a path. There's a net on the other side of the hoop. They have to throw it through, and you got to push the ball down into that. And then there's a bunch of bean bags in the way. So you got to
clear those out, except for Eva, who won the advantage, and she didn't have to do that section.
No, she had to do that. What she didn't have to do was land it in the basket to get the combo to come up. She could just run up and drop the ball in.
Oh, I thought she got the bags emptied out.
No, she had to do that part.
I didn't think she did.
Yeah, so you
check that.
You then shoot the ball into a basket, and once you land in the basket, then it reveals the combination. And they did have different combinations for everyone, Probe said.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and then you, once you get your combination right, you get your key, and then you can unlock your puzzle pieces, I guess, that are up top.
And head on over to start solving.
A fire puzzle, classic Survivor fire puzzle.
Joe a bit of good to get there ahead of everyone.
And then the reward is a trip to Sanctuary, same day trip to Sanctuary with some pasta and chocolate cake, some bolognese and some pesto, he said. Pesto pasta. Is pesto a pasta? No, pesto's a sauce, right? Bolognese is a sauce too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, bolognese, I don't really know. Not
yeah, me neither. Not a foodie.
I don't like the pesto sauce, so I just don't. Okay. All right.
Everybody did pretty good except for poor Camilla. She twisted the wrong direction in the mud net.
Won.
You just going to jump to there?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all she needed to do. You're already saying something about it. She did what she needed to do.
Okay.
She closed it.
Joe did really well at each stage and got to the puzzle first.
Yeah. And Mitch was never far behind him.
No, he was doing really well too.
Kyle and then Eva came along. Poor Camilla had a lot of trouble getting to the puzzle, but Eva was the only person who got one piece before Camilla got up there.
Right.
So basically, they all started pretty much together there. So,
yeah. Well, and as soon as Camilla got started, it was just like piece after piece after piece.
I know, and it's like especially Mitch and Joe were watching. I thought, if you're looking to see what they're doing and trying to copy them, you don't ever win that way.
Yeah, but you're desperate just to get something started.
Just to get something started.
Because you never know when someone might lose their momentum the way Eva did.
That's true. But it still doesn't mean they can, if they're just copying, that they're going to be able to see the pieces and how they fit. That's really the important part, I think, is to see the shapes and to see where they go. To look at a shape and go, I need a piece that looks like that, and to take that, imprint it in your brain and go over and find that piece. And she's good at that. Even Eva was way better than I thought
fantastic
she would
at that. Kyle and Mitch are horrible. Just really horrible at that.
I don't think Joe was much better either.
No, he had some pieces. Kyle and Mitch didn't by the time Camilla finished.
Well,
that's Camilla's second immunity win. And as Probst declared, a massive comeback.
On ya.
What did you think about her choosing Eva to go with her? I thought she might finally sort of out Kyle. Yeah,
I thought they might too. But
they must have decided to keep it a secret.
Yeah.
To the bitter end.
And I think it probably was better, and to keep Eva and Joe happy and close to them because...
oh, that's true, because Eva's happy, Joe's happy. Yeah, so Eva's not having a fit. She's getting fed. She's not crying. Yeah.
Well, the guys, none of them seemed happy about it. They all wanted to eat, but the girls went off to have an afternoon tea. So
yeah, Camilla tells us that's the biggest comeback she's ever had in any activity in her life.
And how nice she can relax, enjoy her afternoon, the food, knowing that she's not going anywhere. She is in the Final Four. And that she cannot be voted out of the season. What a lovely feeling.
Yeah. I don't guess I'd really put much thought into that, but that did help bring it home.
Well, and especially since her family were so, you're going to be the first one out. And she said, I never got voted out. She said that to her.
Okay, back at camp, the guys return. See Joe teasing Mitch. Hey, you got a little something there on your face, buddy, as they're all covered in mud.
That just has to feel horrible. I can't stand dried stuff on my skin. That would.
You have a problem with dirt.
But I don't mind mud. If it's wet, I can handle it. I can go out and plant things as long as I get the dirt wet. But if it's dry dirt, I don't know why that way.
I like Kyle was teasing Mitch. Mitch said, I'm writing your name down tonight.
No, it was Kyle. Kyle said he was writing Mitch's.
Oh, is that what it was? I thought I got it backwards.
Kyle said to Mitch,
I'm writing your name tonight. Yeah. All right. No consideration of dignity for these three. It's off to the low tide pools, the kiddie pools, to wash off that mud.
And Mitch just seems to keep laughing.
Definitely has good humor.
Well, I think, though, at this point, he really believed they were going to vote Joe out.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was in any danger.
He tells us that Joe's vulnerable, and then we see him talking to Kyle and saying, hey,
this is perfect. We can take out Joe out. I wonder how that would have changed the game had they voted Joe out instead of Mitch. But, I see why they were afraid of Mitch to sit with him. That he was so well liked. Everybody really liked him.
Not only that, he was not them. It's classic not this person who either didn't keep their word to me or didn't take action when I thought they should. And he would have had a big advantage in that sense, I think.
And Joe, of course, we're going to get Mitch out. Mitch, and Kyle's like, well, Mitch is a threat, too.
Yeah. Joe and Mitch are both threats.
Joe. He hasn't upset anyone. So Kyle needs people with him that have upset other people. And that would mostly be Joe.
Okay, bouncing back to the sanctuary. Eva is thanking Camilla, and Camilla declares, no vote out for me. I won. I brought myself
to the finale.
Yes.
Or to the final, yeah.
Eva says, your necklace, my idol, we got it in the bag.
And
easy vote tonight.
Yep,
Mitch is gone.
Because I'm playing my idol. It's the last time I can. So Eva didn't have to worry either. She and Camilla both knew they were safe. So the guys can go back and talk about it this afternoon and see what they want to do. They're going to relax.
Yeah, we see Camilla's going through options. She tells us that there's definitely some power that Mitch has in the game, that there's reason to get rid of him. There's Kyle's her biggest threat, reason to get rid of him too, for that very reason.
But at this point, she said, but I can't. I can't send him home. And
she's playing for both of us. So it's not that different from the Joe and Eva thing in that sense.
Well, yeah.
because they've been playing for each other the whole time, too. Can't separate logic from my heart.
Well, and she tells Kyle, Mitch is a
when
jury
they get
vote
back?
for either one of us.
Yeah, we gotta vote out Mitch because he's
we
gonna
need
get
his
us
vote.
and the votes he'll bring us. Yeah,
I liked how she handled it with Mitch, how she just said, look, Mitch, everyone loves you. I can't sit next to you at Final Three.
she did sort of bring him down soft, right?
I
Let him
thought
off
she
easy.
did.
Yeah,
Like-
everyone loves you. That was rough, but
Yeah,
he just
it
didn't have a
was.
lot to go on either. So
And you know it's rough
this was his
for
story the whole
him.
time. He never had the alliance. He never had.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he wanted so badly, and especially getting so close.
Yep.
He's been working on that pitch in his head. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm not going to get to do it.
Mitch tells us absolutely devastating. Yep. And Eva tells him, well, because we like you so much, we got to tell you you're getting voted out.
Well, I
Mad
did
respect,
like-
Joe says. Mad respect.
I
Mitch.
did like that they talked about it openly
Yeah.
and just said, yeah, I think it would have been harder on all of them, including Mitch, for him to just get blindsided to make them think that he's going through and that they're all voting Joe out. I just thought, that just
That's
seems
not
mean.
Yeah, that's unnecessary
Yeah,
at
it's
this point.
unnecessary.
Especially
and
with
let's
how
just
they've
tell
played.
him. Yes, and how close they actually
The society the rules for the society they chose for this season.
Yes.
Well, and you do get to hear some regret from Mitch. He says he doesn't have regrets a little later, but he said should have made a move, and that's right.
Yes, you should have.
You should have. You shouldn't
If
have
you
ignored
could've, you
Star and
should've.
Mary,
Yes.
and you should have made more effort.
But, that's got to be tough for him, too. I'm losing because I'm too liked.
Yeah.
That's even harder, I think, to swallow.
Yeah.
But
Tribal Council, Final Five, Night 24. Big smiles from Shaheen when he sees Camilla's got that necklace on, I think. Probst questions Camilla and what was going through her head, and she said that voice inside that told her to keep going, even though she was doing so poorly early on in the challenge.
yeah, just imagine if she'd given up. That would have been.
Kyle gets to be the one to break it and tells him, well, it's an honest and open vote.
Yep, we were all open today, and it's Mitch. I think the jury was a little surprised.
Yeah, well, I don't think they totally believed their motivations and all that. Especially when you got Joe saying, well, I'm showing the most respect to a human. He has an odd way of saying some of those things.
Okay.
Mitch says, yes, it absolutely is heartbreaking, but that appears to be what's happening.
Well, and he says, he's worked with Kyle and Camilla all along, and it does hurt. But again, he says, no regrets. That's enough. I guess he got what he wanted, and so Jeff said, okay, then
Yes.
time to vote.
Yeah, thank you for not dragging that out.
And Eva plays her idol.
For herself. Woohoo, good for you.
And Mitch got, surprise, surprise, 4 votes.
What did you think about him throwing one to Kyle?
I think he was a little bit upset with Kyle. More than Camilla.
Expected more, yeah.
Then that, you could make a big move and not have to go up against Joe. But, Kyle didn't seem all that intimidated by Joe, going against him like some of the others did.
Yeah, he did share Shaheen's sentiments in that regard.
Yep.
The jury did not seem to be too happy that we were thinking it was because they didn't vote out Joe. It's like you had the opportunity and you didn't get rid of him.
Yeah, I thought that would make them unhappy, but maybe not so much. I was thinking, well, when they tell them at the final tribal, what was going on, et cetera, et cetera.
We had big expectations for that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yep, Mitch seemed to be in good spirits after being voted out. Declared it was a great experience. Happy for making day 24.
And Hugfest.
Yes, the final 4. Time for hugs. They're back at camp, night 24.
All right. The final 4. Hugs. We did it.
2 groups of 2. Unreal.
Duo groups played very differently. And they did.
Undercover duo versus the super close Out in the open duo of Joe and Eva. Very public.
Yeah. One was so deeply undercover and the other was so out there.
Yes, getting called out for it
Yeah.
in the exit interviews for sure, for flaunting it. On to day 25.
Eva tells Joe, I want one more immunity win.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way we're going to get to the end together.
Yep, she wants the power.
She was wrong. It wasn't the only way.
If I win, she declares, I will take Joe with me. And she tells us she has a unique story. She believes she can differentiate from Joe. I was thinking, not so much.
Well, she didn't think it would hurt her how to have Joe next to her at Final Three. She wasn't intimidated by him either.
Right. You'd hope anyone who makes that choice would believe that. But yeah.
She's like, I tell my story, my life, she really, I was surprised. She wasn't intimidated at all.
And from the scene we saw in Next Time on Survivor, we see Camilla talking to Kyle and saying, hey, my best shot's by myself, not with you.
Basically,
if I win,
can't sit next to you in the Final Three.
If I win, you're going to have to make fire because we're going to split the jury votes too much between us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That we'll split the votes. It'll go against us. Yeah.
You and I were going back and forth about should she really have had that discussion right now?
Well, they were being more upfront than we're used to seeing. Mm-hmm. Normally, I would quickly say, oh, no. But I don't know. It just seemed to be what they were doing and could have, could hurt people more in the long run if they hadn't done it. So who knows? But
she tells us.
Kyle says back to her, well, I'm glad you said it because I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said it.
We got the same game. It's in neither of our interests to be beside each other. So. And
Kyle said to Joe, we don't want to make fire.
Joe asked him first.
Oh.
Who are you going to take if you win?
Well.
Yeah. And that's when he said, I don't want to make fire. Do you want to make fire? No, I don't want to make fire.
You can always have a bad day or not get a spark.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to risk it.
Joe doesn't want to count his chickens too early, but he really hopes Kyle picks him so he doesn't have to do that.
And yet, he does end up offering, but... Okay, the challenge, the last immunity challenge.
Yeah, and it's the classic Sim Ocean that always makes you so anxious.
I hate that one.
Day 25,
it does.
Final Four immunity challenge.
Me, makes me nervous.
Yeah.
And I fidget.
Yes.
I'm like, who's going So, but I did say, what did I say when they walked in and we saw what the challenge was? What did I say?
I hate that one.
After that?
You said Kyle could win this one.
I did.
Yes.
And you said, nah, he's not good at that.
Most times Kyle chokes is, I think, what I said. So he won that one plate balancing challenge at the beginning. But
plate balancing, okay. Well, all right, Jeff sets it up and...
one hand tied behind their back, or at least to their side, as you noticed with Eva.
Yeah.
Everybody else had one behind their back.
Well, theirs was noticeably behind the back, but they were strapped, so hers was kind of there, but she didn't have it pushed as behind her as some of the others.
So Probst tells us the record is 5 that people have had in motion at once.
And they only got to 4. Were you surprised that Eva went out first? Because you said, Eva could probably do good at this one.
Right. The classic superpower really concentration thing. Yeah, so I guess I expected someone else to go out before her. And it wrecked her. So she's not making any decisions. She immediately starts bawling.
I know, but I was thinking, do you really want to distract Joe if he sees if you get too upset?
Yeah.
That it could hurt.
I don't get the sense she thinks about other people.
Or your game.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't think she could help it because her need to win is so strong. She's not okay if she's not winning, or she has to talk herself down from that. Mm-hmm. She expects a lot of herself.
Next up, after Eva, Camilla goes out. It's a showdown between Kyle and Joe And I thought, well, I think Joe's got this one. He's going to get his 5. But no, he dropped. And Kyle wins. Guaranteed a final 3.
And Kyle said, whether I win or not, this is the best experience of my life. Mm-hmm. And I like that. Of course, he still wants to win.
Yeah.
And Kyle tells Joe, yep, I am taking you to Final 3. And then he goes and tells Eva. And even though he knows she won't like it, that's the way it is. At least he gives her time to adapt to it and for them to go practice. And tells Eva he believes she can win fire making. Actually, what he doesn't tell her is he's counting on it. Mm-hmm. Because he does realize that he shouldn't be sitting with Camilla, that he needs all the votes he can get for their moves.
Right.
As she would, probably, if she were there. Mm-hmm. But Camilla is proud of herself, and she's already way further in the game than she ever thought she'd get.
Right.
And that she would still have a chance to beat Kyle and Joe if she won the fire making. So she's going to go for it.
Mm-hmm. You see Camilla struggling with the fire, though. She briefly demonstrated some good technique using the backside of the knife instead of the blade for getting sparks.
She made a couple of fires, but then she was faltering.
She just didn't really have this sense of it. It's what we see every season. There are people who, regardless, don't put the effort in, and they end up in that situation, and they have a meltdown in the process. And Camilla and Eva both went through that.
Well, Camilla didn't have a complete breakdown as much as Eva did.
Well, yeah, it's different, but both of them were going through a mighty struggle. I
thought Kyle was going to really lose it.
Yeah, well, when you hear
struggling.
Eva screaming like that, when she gets frustrated, it's unnerving for sure.
Because he even commented that maybe he should go up against Camilla. Mm-hmm. I thought, Kyle, make Joe do it.
That's like extra cruel, though.
There. Yeah, but... Yeah.
So Joe joins Eva, gives her some squeezes and gets her to calm down, and then coaches her through it. And she gets pretty good at making fire from what we can see.
And, it was nice to see that Joe offered to do it for her.
I really like that she said no.
I did,
because I thought she was going to let him do it.
No, I liked it that she pulled herself back together.
Yeah.
And I need to go against Camilla myself.
Yep. So she gets a fire, and then Joe says, all right, let's do it again. Put that one out and do another. Good stuff.
But you can help me prepare, Joe. Which was very helpful.
Cut back over to Camilla. She tells us that she's exhausted. Her arms are giving out on her. But she takes a step back. She analyzes what's going on. She realizes she really needs to get some more magnesium in there. They always told us you needed about a quarter's worth. So you should shave enough that it would be the same amount that you would see in the size of a quarter. That's the minimum to pull together. And when I'm watching people go to do this, they're just letting the magnesium fly all over the place. There's like basic prep things they never do. They never spin. Well, like Gabler, he knew what he was doing, but they never rough up that cordage, the hemp that they get, when they're doing it. So either whether you really, because what they told us was you want it like dust. You want like a little pile of that's dust, and then you want your magnesium in with that so that it sparks. When the magnesium catches, which burns briefly but extremely hot, you want it to catch that dust, and then that dust in turn will catch the other roughed up fibers that are there, and it builds.
Okay. Camilla talks about how exhausted she was and all that from trying to make the fire. She's bending down and on her knees. I believe that's what affected her during the challenge. She kept saying, my legs are cramping, my her hands.
Her muscles were giving out. Yeah.
Her muscles just said, done.
But new Camilla stepped back, did some analysis, just like when she's coding. She did some debugging. She got in there and fixed it, and she's making fire.
Yep.
And she tells us this is going to be a battle. She knows she needs to stay cool and not give up. She feels ready and prepared.
I like that Eva told
I believe you.
Camilla, I'm scared of you. Mm-hmm. You know,
they had a little mutual respect society
feel like
going on there.
It was a hands down.
Yeah.
But, okay, night 25, tribal council number 2.
Yep, final 4. Last one here.
I think the jury seems surprised that Kyle chooses Joe to go to
Very
final,
surprised.
Especially Shaheen.
Yeah, Mitch was frowning.
What?
Yeah.
So they definitely reacted. And that the girls were the ones making fire. And Eva starts right away eyeing all the fire material, and she's getting stressed already because there's no coconut.
It's not coconut husk. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what I practice with. Yes.
I wondered why she kept looking.
I didn't put it together
out.
Initially either.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Probst is questioning Kyle and about his decision to bring Joe, and we see reactions from Mary and Shaheen, and Joe said, "Well, Kyle's a man of his word," and
I thought, yeah, well,
wait, you just wait. Yeah.
Might not be saying that tomorrow. Okay, but Joe does tell Eva when she finally starts expressing her concern about no coconut husk, and Joe it's the same, it's still the same, it's fine. Yeah,
between the coaching from Joe and the coaching from Probst was just going out of his way to lay it out for Eva.
Wonder what Camilla thought, because Kyle was kind of coaching too.
Well, I'm sure she was clear. Camilla's very smart. But she's probably more focused on her leg cramping and then shaking.
Sure. She just
hands were shaking.
Could not get it going.
No, she lost her composure. She started panicking.
You know, she would have had an opportunity if Eva had melted down about her fire going low again.
Yeah, she did start panicking, but they talked her out of it. So.
Yeah. But then the jury is also seeing this. Would she have been able to continue? Would she have won if she'd continued to melt down and couldn't do it?
Yeah, if she didn't have the encouragement.
Everything that, all the
but when
assistance.
if you've got empathy at all, though,
I know.
That's what's overriding how you're thinking about things.
But
even Camilla starts encouraging Eva.
Wouldn't you feel obligated, though, to look at all things when you're making the decision to give someone $1 million?
Some people, yeah. Some people, no.
And their ability to even manage $1 million. That could ruin some people.
Yeah. Eva ends up squeaking out a win there. Camilla never really got it going. Camilla got a flame briefly, but then it was gone. And so I'm always disappointed when they show up and when you know that this is a part of it, haven't put the effort in. And Probst declares all
she went out and made fire every day, but it was very different.
Yes.
At home versus out there and under intense pressure too. Mm-hmm. That and the environment's different. So, and your supplies are probably different. So
with all the encouragement and her knowing that she made her parents proud, she declares that all the practice paid off. So Eva's happy again.
But as Jeff pointed out, Camilla was pretty awesome. In the middle of her crisis, she still saw that Eva was having an issue, and she was encouraging her too. Mm-hmm. I think that's
nobody
pretty
wants to hear her screaming like that.
Well, no, and it's, you don't want to see someone get that upset. And
So Probst starts asking Camilla how this has impacted her and what's her biggest personal takeaway from all this. And she talks about how she's worked past that negative voice into the survivor voice that tells her to chill and hang in there.
And how proud she really was of the game she played.
Yep.
And she should be.
Had a chance. No one ever wrote her name down.
Yep. And that
Impressive.
No one voted me out.
She becomes the 8th member of the jury.
I took myself out.
And she declares that she will be having drinks shortly in their honor.
Yes.
Naming all their favorite drinks as she heads out.
I thought, oh my goodness, then
it's going to be a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
We're like, well, I don't know that she's going to be in a position to tell how great Kyle played.
Yeah.
She gonna be,
No, don't have a
she's
drink
gonna
for
get
each one of them.
blasted. Yeah.
Especially different kinds of alcohol.
Yep.
Mixing, that doesn't always go well. So,
Okay, back at camp, it's the morning. The breakfast boat arrives with supplies.
yep, what beautiful sunrises they had. And Kyle talks about how their bonds run deep in this game.
But you never know how the jury's going to look at
That's
things.
right.
Yeah.
You do not. None of us
I was
do.
worried a little bit with what he was saying, just the generalities. He put people first, focused on relationships. I was in control. It's like, look, buddy, you got to come in. You got a 1, 2, 3 story that's pretty phenomenal with how you guys ran that number on Thomas, and then how you did it to David, and how you took Shaheen away as, step 3. And that's what I want to see. I want you to lay it out for them so they can see all the stuff that was going on that they have no clue about.
Well, Camilla tells us, Kyle's a really good liar, too. Mm-hmm. She's a good liar, but so is he.
Yeah, Shaheen recognized that Kyle had played a strategic game, and Mitch says that he wants them to own that cutthroat gameplay.
You tell the game that you really played, or I'm not voting for you.
Yep, Joe realizes, hey, this is the first reward the 3 of us have had together.
And even Eva feels like, Survivor brought me great friends.
Yep, it's been an
got me
emotional
to the
toll.
end.
Yep, and that she contributes the heart.
Yes, and I like that Kyle put that in his final speech, too, while we're here. And Mary is already saying Eva's very courageous.
And she said she loved how Eva gave her wholehearted trust. I thought that's not actually an endorsement or a vote. That's just her assessment. So I thought, okay, good. She's not going to do anything silly. She's not going to vote for Eva.
Silly in your opinion.
And Cedric tells us that Eva is a physical beast. Okay, so this is an attribute that you're recognizing. That's not a vote for Eva.
And here's where Eva says that she graduated in 3 years and then went to Brown and got her PhD.
Or is working on it. I don't think she's done yet. But yeah.
Okay. And did she say she wants to teach?
No, she was using that as a cover story.
Oh, okay. And she's working with the Navy? Gee, she's 24.
Because of her research, yeah.
My goodness. And Kyle's like, well, okay. On that note,
yeah.
I guess I should tell you, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
And Joe's
not
eyes are like, what?
He's overwhelmed looking between the 2 of them.
These are my
what the
2
heck?
closest. You've both been lying to me about what you do.
Well,
even Eva.
I am a fire captain. Yes.
Yep. I'm just a fire captain.
I thought, this is foreshadowing. He is going to play the honorable, loyal, honest game card. He tells us that's his game. No compromises.
I expected it to be a lot more tribal, but I didn't see it. So
no backstabbing. That's the game he played.
And Chrissy seemed impressed with Joe.
Again, I thought that was non-committal. It's like he's a stand-up guy, and he did really good in challenges.
He did really good.
It's like, hey, Chrissy, can you say something good about Joe for the reel?
Well, but Star said Joe deserves to win.
45, but plays like he's in his 20s. Not when David was there.
And David said Joe lied a lot.
Joe broke promises. Yeah, he didn't hesitate to go negative, did he?
What did Camilla say there?
I don't have anything.
Oh, well, Cedric tells us
Joe.
Anyone can win. And Mary says tonight they need to be honest with us. In other words, they want to hear everything.
Mitch wants them to own their moves. Yes. Final tribal council. We're blazing on through. Now the power shifts to the jury. Cedric's up with the first question. He wants to know one or several weaknesses and how you tried to minimize it. I thought that is a really boring, unuseful question. Thank you, Cedric. And Eva gives her classic autism answer, and that she chose an ally to help her, and that she shared.
I think Kyle actually shared more than Joe or Eva. I mean, Joe talked about wearing his emotion on his sleeve, and that he was that helped him be able to harness that into empathy.
Well, he harnessed it, and turned it into
And
empathy.
that he made moves at appropriate times in the game. Then Kyle, I didn't know where he was going when he said,
Neither, yeah.
I was
But he made him laugh.
overconfident.
It's good when you make them laugh.
Yeah, true.
The awful start, and he recounted all the bad decisions he made in the beginning.
And he said his overconfidence forced him to pivot in the game several times.
Yeah.
You know they love to hear that.
Yes.
And so, is that where he talked about going to jail, or is that later?
No, that's later.
Okay.
Yeah, the next one was Mitch. Mitch had the second question that they showed us. We know that the final tribal councils can be hours long.
I think Mitch was looking for more for himself in that. How did you use the relationships to propel your game?
How did you leverage them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep, meaningful relationships. And of course, Eva says Joe.
Yeah, Joe cared about me outside the game, and we were the most powerful duo to ever play Survivor or something like that.
Strongest. Yeah, she said.
And Shaheen said, well, it's very impressive, Eva.
Yeah. And this is where we get the title from Chrissy. Said, hey, that's great that you're so tight, but only one of you can win.
And Joe said, I will not take jabs at Eva, but I will try to win you with my game.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was...
Still trying to say
he seemed a
I'm
little
gonna be
offended
honorable.
by the question. Yeah.
How did you use the relationships?
Yeah. And it was almost like Chrissy triggered him by saying, look, only one of you is going to win. So how about a little honest talk here?
And Star wanted to hear something new about things that they did.
Tell me something new. What undercover moves did you make?
And Eva started out with something they did know, and then she talks about the advantage of power and that
Safety without power,
Yep,
how she snuck off.
never used it. And
This is when Kyle mentioned being incarcerated,
yeah,
turning his life around, and he's a lawyer.
and to help others that were like him and getting in trouble,
Yep.
which is admirable in anybody's book.
Yeah, definitely. That's a hard road
So
to
is
travel.
Eva getting her PhD at Brown, and wow,
She
impressive.
wasn't just the jock girl. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think
Joe said, and I'm the dumb fireman.
I'm just a
Might as well
dumb
have fun with
fireman.
it, Joe.
I thought, okay, but don't put yourself down, Joe.
Mary's question, I did like it. What do you think the jury's perception of you is? It even nailed
I
it,
wrote
right?
Impression of you is, but
Yeah. Eva said that I'm Joe's +1. I thought, yes, exactly.
that. Well, she was like that. That's not what she said, in my opinion. She basically said that they made decisions together, but she's the one that brought the logical perspective. So it wasn't her following Joe, or she was helping make those decisions too.
Right, but her when she was asked, what do you think the jury's perception of you is? She replied that I'm Joe's +1.
Well, yeah.
And then she went on to elaborate, like you said.
Yes.
But David wasn't having that. He said, "Hey, I want clear examples."
Well,
and this is where the big delivery was
Yeah.
shaping up to come, but it
It got blown, but she was telling about how they, got Shaheen,
how she masterminded it, working out the logic with Joe for the Shaheen vote out.
and Shaheen's like, hey, I wasn't after you. I voted for Mitch.
Yeah.
Which I still don't think she was putting it together yet.
No, it did, even when he said my best move was to be sitting there with you, it didn't click.
Yeah. Camilla's like, let me intervene here.
She kept trying to interject. Yeah.
It's like, okay, finally, Kyle, tell us about the Shaheen vote. So he does. He's
Laid it out there. Yep.
laid it out that they were working together and that he thought that they were the most powerful duo in the game.
You might have been a public duo, and you were a strong duo, but Camilla and I were the best.
And you and Joe and Eva were not in charge.
Yes.
They thought they were. And then David's knock, knock.
Well, I don't want to hold on before we move away
Okay.
from Kyle's answer there
Okay.
because
Well, that's about all he said, though.
Well, that he took out the brains.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the big part of it. But yes, to your point, that was about all he said. So it was.
I was like, I want more.
Yes, okay, now do David. Okay, now do Thomas.
Yeah.
What's going on? That's like there was something, and it looked like Eva. I can't always tell though, but it looked like Eva and Joe were a little dejected hearing all this.
Yes.
Not realizing they had no clue what had actually happened.
For me, it was unsatisfying.
Yes.
I didn't get enough.
It's like
of the explanation. I wanted to hear them and get the jury's reaction to,
It's the same way I felt when Star got voted out, when Mary got voted out. It was just there seemed to be a promise of a great reveal, and
and there was no payoff.
It was a bit of a fizzle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. David did the knock knock.
Yeah, knock knock, and they didn't know what to do for a second, and then both Kyle and Eva said, "Who's there?"
Mm-hmm. David declared, "I'm so tired of frowning.
Not me.
It's just been an act."
No, he said, "Not me" first.
Oh, okay.
Who's there? Not me. I'm not over there with you.
Yeah.
But and then he tells us, he's tired of frowning. He's happy to smile again. Well, I don't think anyone made you, but he said he wanted them to feel what he'd felt. So that's why he was doing
I like Joe's response. I find out I got a lawyer over here and a PhD doctor on my other side, and you've been acting this whole time, to David.
Yeah.
Yeah. So David gets to his question. How did winning
immunity challenges help your game?
Yep. And how did you use that advantage of the necklace?
Well, Joe does his brag. I won 4 challenges, and I'm a lot older than all of you.
And 9 months ago, I had a complete ACL reconstruction.
Replaced my ACL, and I still came out here. And
people wanted to keep me to keep winning.
Yep. It's like, okay, but what else you got, Joe?
Yeah.
You're a nice guy. You helped Eva. You did. But why would you even think about giving up your own game?
Kyle made him laugh again.
Kyle made him laugh?
Yeah. He started talking about his bubble butt and acknowledged that he was indeed caked up, he said.
And Kyle
he
said,
won one when it mattered the most.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was the only point I think he needed.
Yeah.
Hey,
but he worked some fun into it.
I needed to win to choose who sat here with me. I pulled it off.
Eva declared beating Joe and David made her a big dog.
Yep, that people thought, she was with the big dogs, but she is not. She is one of them.
So Probst asked him to give their last pitch, and Kyle said, I'm the best average guy. I'm very well... did you want to say something else?
I did, because Eva pointed out that she beat Joe and David.
I just said that out loud.
I didn't hear you. I was looking at the rocks.
Gotcha. Yes. You're like waiting for your turn to talk.
No,
I understand.
I just thought you missed it. I didn't hear you.
Okay. In summary, Kyle's a great average guy, very well rounded, and he wants to be their representative. I thought that was really weak. I hope you did better than that. Joe declares, I'm a 45-year-old dad, and I managed to be a threat, and I made it to the end.
Well, I did like that Kyle asked them to please let me be the representative of this season. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a good way to frame it, for sure. What did Joe say?
That he got himself to the end with a massive target on his back the whole game, and that he needed the money to take care of his kids.
How about Eva?
She played a very black and white game, but she played who she is, and I made Jeff cry.
And carried more wood than anyone else, so she got him to laugh a little too.
Let me represent. And Mitch is talking over in the jury. He's like, every one of them brought it 100%.
I didn't think so.
So proud of them.
I thought Joe's was pretty weak, and it was exactly what I expected too.
Well, I feel like we kind of got cheated maybe by the edit again.
Yes. Yeah.
Because those things are a lot longer and they have to pick and choose what they show, but they didn't give me enough
Wasn't satisfying
of what I wanted.
Yeah, for me either.
Fully.
It was very representative of the season.
But it just felt like it just rushed through and I wanted
weak sauce.
more. That's just what it is.
Okay, we see
weak sauce.
Yeah, weak sauce.
Okay.
We see Cedric voting for Joe because they're both dads. It's like, okay, that's in keeping with the logic that you've applied all season. Thank you, Cedric. And then I was really surprised that Mary voted for Eva. I guess I was still disappointed in Mary.
She'd already said how courageous she thought she was.
Yeah, but that's just attributes. That's not about did they play the best game.
Well,
and we see Camilla vote for Kyle.
With
predictably.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And I was pretty sure Shaheen would too.
So 1 vote for Joe, 1 vote for Eva, 1 vote for Kyle, another vote for Eva, another vote for Kyle, and then 2 more for Kyle. Kyle wins. Actually got a total of 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, didn't need to show the last one.
Nope.
Kyle won. Good job, Kyle.
I can't help but think that they did run some scenarios or something, because I think...
Run some scenarios. What does that mean?
About who they wanted. They wanted Eva to have second place, I think.
To get the 100K instead of Joe?
Well, I don't know if they thought about the money portion of it or not, but I think they wanted her to get more credit than Joe, because I think she did do better, at least from what they showed us, with her speech to the jury. I thought she was way more outgoing than Joe was. Mm-hmm. And so I think they wanted to reward her for that.
More depth.
And they wanted it to be clear. Joe got 1, Eva got 2, but we're giving it to Kyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe it was like that.
And I don't know if they have time to whisper to each other.
So what did you think?
What did I think about?
Kyle won.
Well, of course I
Before we
wanted
go
Kyle
on
to
to
win.
the after show.
He was my USB 24. Of course I wanted Kyle to win.
Yep.
So, and I put him first in my order as well. I didn't get the order correct, though. Because I had Joe second and Eva third.
Yeah, we didn't see Eva beating Joe.
No.
Nope.
But anyway.
I don't know how I will look back on this season. It's going to be, I think I even said it in the beginning, it was going to be hard for any season to follow 47 for what 47 represented to me in terms of strategic gameplay.
Well,
and
Rachel
how phenomenal.
Was so
phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah, Rachel was. Yeah,
And,
against all odds.
But I did like, some of Kyle and Camilla's, acting and pulling off some pretty big moves. And that they didn't get caught. That was what was... seriously, they touched on it just a little bit, about how they would, just run by and go blah, 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 and move on.
Yeah, I think that actually they gave us that in the after show, though.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't get it in tribal council.
Exactly, but they did, talk about it a little bit, and so...
Okay, moving on to the after show.
Oh, yeah.
Probst declares... you thought we were done. Probst declares this is a rare Final 3 and that everybody got votes. I actually thought it was going to be a shutout. I thought Kyle was going to get them all.
Okay. I didn't. I thought Joe would at least get 1.
When it came out, all the things that Kyle and Camilla had done.
Yeah.
And that Joe and Eva weren't even in the same league as them in terms of their effectiveness in the game.
Now, if Joe had made fire and won at fire, he might have gotten more than he did, but he didn't.
So Probst polls the votes. First he asked Cedric, why'd you vote for Joe? Well, Joe's a dad. Okay, there we go. Thanks, Cedric. And then he asked Star and Mary why they voted for Eva. And Mary's answer was that she played true to herself. And Star's answer was...
but she played strategies too.
Star's answer was, hey, I wanted to vote for Eva when she made...
wowed me.
When she made fire.
Well, she said Eva
I didn't
wowed.
expect a lot from you either, Star, and you delivered.
How ugly.
And that was nice of Probst to give Star some accolades there.
Yeah.
You were a spark plug. Yep.
And Kyle says it means the world to me.
Yep, he was struggling. He gave and Probst at least recognized it this time. It's awfully soon to try to get him to summarize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like you said when we started to record tonight. You were like, I don't know how I feel. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, maybe doing the recap will help you figure out along the way how you're feeling.
Yeah,
and,
that it fizzled. Yes.
Yeah.
I like when Probst asked, now, what if Camilla was in the final three?
Yep, I like
And
that too.
and you got to take it with a grain of salt because it's Star.
'Cause it
But
was Star that
Star said,
threw it
well,
out
Camilla wins. But
She
there was a lot of
there
agreement.
were a few that
Yeah.
were, yeah. So that may be true, but you can't really know. But
And Camilla shares a little more about how committed they were to their acting, and Probst focused in on that, especially with the Thomas vote. Great acting there.
And Joe tells us that Eva gave him an opportunity in front of the whole world to show who he really is.
I don't know how I feel about that. It seems
Again,
a little off.
It feels needy, like he needs. I've said that from the beginning. He needs something, all of his emotions and feelings, and he couldn't save his sister, and who knows what else in his life, but he needs to be the hero. He needs to be. And that usually is, in my opinion, an issue that needs further investigation to try to clear. We all have those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And
We get a little bit of celebration of Shaheen there, and his acknowledgement. Probst gives him kudos for always playing to win and make it fun.
well, and he said he wanted to make it where it was fun to play with him. But then he got targeted because everyone wanted to play with him. And so then they get him out. So he's like, well, okay.
And Eva gets a surprise, and Shaheen and Joe both knew that she snuck out of camp to go get that advantage. She thought
they
she was so good at being sneaky.
Yep. And they talked about Thomas. Kyle didn't know that Thomas had to steal a vote. And
But it didn't really matter. Yeah,
Camilla had an extra vote. I'm surprised she never told him, but I guess after the fact it didn't matter.
no, he played it. Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, Kyle didn't know about Thomas's advantage.
They did a little bit of the recap on Star's Beware Advantage / Immunity Idol, and how she went around trying to get help but didn't get help. But it would have been greater if they had said it all in detail, but because it's a longer story than what they covered there. And Probst gave Mary some kudos for playing her shot in the dark accurately.
And
She took time selecting it, feeling the
Saved her.
energy of the scrolls, and chose the correct one.
All right, you go, girl.
Probst shared with David that he was wondering what was wrong with him as he was
all the
mad mugging
frowns.
over in the jury. And then we get David's theory of milk drinking. If your elbow is out, you're a man. If your elbow's in, you're a woman.
Oh, yeah. That's where he told him he wanted them to feel how he was feeling, too. But, yep, they played the whole milk thing out. For sure.
More kudos for Eva. Probst tells her she was amazing. And she talks about all the support that she had, first through Joe and then the others.
And Camilla feels like she's grown,
Yep.
and that she's hoping she'll carry this new confidence into the future with her, because she was doing a lot of self-negative thinking,
Yep. Mitch says you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's one of his big lessons.
Well, and then they tell us Mitch is single and that he's kind of a party animal. What they say, he's a wild badger.
That's what Joe said.
Yeah. And Kyle tells us the game really pushed him to his limits, and he was very happy about it, that it did push him. And he thanked everybody for...
And thank Jeff.
Yes.
All right, what did you think of the first look of season 49?
I didn't pay much attention.
Okay.
You don't get anything.
Yeah?
As more people, yes, we see some people.
There's a mom on vacation and some dude who calls himself the Riz
I was
God.
like, yeah. When it gets close to 49, we'll replay it, and then
The
I'll
other
look
thing I
at
saw
it.
was several people who looked likely incapable of actually playing Survivor. That was my first impression of them. And that it started by showing us a shipwreck. And I thought, this may be a shipwreck of a season because it's going to be so hard with 50 on the horizon.
And did Jeff say tomorrow they're going to come out and say who's on season 50?
No, next Wednesday.
Oh, next one. Oh, it's a whole week away.
Yeah.
And there's a season.
It's going to overshadow
between.
49 so bad.
It's like,
I mean, we'll be here and
we'll be here. It's Survivor.
Yes, we'll show up.
I don't have to love every minute
Right.
to enjoy it.
But yeah, 49 is going to get so overlooked. I can't imagine that it will.
I watch all kinds of terrible shows that you want to see.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like, this is horrible. But I stay here with you and we watch it together.
Oh, you watch terrible shows that I want us to watch as well.
You want us to watch. That's what I just said.
What are you referring
please.
to? You mean Murderbot?
Well, that's one of them.
That's not terrible. We just started that.
But there were some others that were. I don't remember what all they were. I try to forget them afterwards.
Oh, okay.
But some of them were.
I see.
Some of them are good, and some of them are not so much.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
All right. How about a JSFL update?
do that.
How did the season end in JSFL?
Well, congratulations to Todd from Texas.
Way to go, Todd.
He won season 48
Out of nowhere.
110 points.
110. That's a reflection of the difficulty of this season.
Yes, it is. Now, the side challengers. Congratulations to Lisa Ray. She is in first place with 85 points.
All right. Good job, Lisa Ray. You got to pick a song now.
By Saturday, preferably, please. And send it to us so that we can give it to the loser in order to write a parody of the season and sing to the tune of your song. Mm-hmm. Okay, second place with 81 points, Stacy. 80 points, Jeremiah. 73, Robert. 72, Drew. 71,
Drew.
Parker.
Drew, wait, hold a second. Drew jumped up significantly.
He did. It frequently happens.
Quite a good showing at the end, Drew.
Yes. So
I got to give him his kudos
his
there.
due. Yep.
Yeah.
Parker with 71. Anderson with 69. Rebecca, 54. Justin, 52. And drum roll, sorry, Johnny, 50 points.
Oh, Johnny, you're going to be singing us a tune.
All right.
Yes. So,
And
Joanne said, Lisa Ray's going to come up with a song, and then Johnny will create a parody based on that song, based on the events of this season.
And sing it to the tune of that song.
Yes.
And that will be due by Jabbok Part 2 for season 49.
September.
However, as I always say, I would do it sooner than later because you can forget things. It's easier
No doubt.
to write it and do it, and you can send it at any time. That'll be fine. So I would advise doing it sooner.
It is a little easier to keep the events of the season in mind.
Yes.
If you do it fresh. But there's always Wikipedia and the podcast to help recap things for you.
Okie doke.
Good deal. Well, we are almost done. We're not completely done. This is our last recap, but there's one more episode to go for the season. That's our listener feedback show for the finale. Time to check in with you, the super fans, see what you thought about this finale. What did you think about this winner? What did you think of the after show? Any observations for season 49? Looking forward to hearing from you. The voicemail line 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. You can record your own audio and send it in, or type it up in an email and we'll read it into the show on your behalf. The email is joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. Feedback is due noon Eastern time on Saturday. We ask that you keep it in that 3-minute range. Looking forward to hearing from you. We just had fantastic listener feedback shows we'd love to have you come be part of this last one and sum up the season for us.
And hopefully by then we can do a rewatch and you can figure out how you really feel.
I'm feeling like it's gelling on fizzle, that it was a fizzled finale for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it just didn't deliver. I wanted that slam
I
dunk.
hear frustration.
Yes. Well, and we had that with this season frequently. So it was in keeping with the season in general, but I'm really more curious as to what other people thought, because I learned more about it by looking at it through
and
their
hearing
eyes.
other perspectives.
Yes.
And at least Kyle won. Come on, you wanted Kyle to win.
Yeah.
You picked him to win.
Yes.
Not like me since the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Before it started. But I'm like Camilla now. I was impressed with myself because that's a rare occurrence that I
to
get
be
that
in second.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I said picking Kyle. Mm-hmm. So that was a bonus.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to hearing from you. Anything else?
Nope.
Have a good one.